Ladies, can I tell you something today that I need you to hear, not just with your ears, but with your spirit, because there is a shift taking place in the atmosphere over your life. There is a divine announcement being made in the realm of the spirit. Heaven is moving because God is not playing with the promises he made concerning you. Your marriage is not just a desire in your heart. It is a prophetic promise. And when God speaks a thing, when he breathes on a matter, when he puts a burden in your soul that won't go away, it's because that thing is near. That's why some of you feel restless. That's why you keep dreaming about a man you haven't even met yet. That's why you've been purging, letting go, cleaning house. Because your spirit knows something is coming, even if your mind doesn't understand it yet. There is a preparation that's happening right now, and for many of you, you've cried, you've waited, you've watched others get married, and you've asked God, when will it be my turn? But I came to remind you, he has not forgotten you. There is a sound of wedding bells over your life. There is a new thing springing up. Marriage is coming for you, not just any marriage, but one authored, sealed, and blessed by the hand of God. So if you're seeing these signs, don't ignore them. These are confirmations. Heaven is aligning. Your season of divine union is closer than you think. You feel a sudden desire to heal, grow, and become whole without being prompted by anyone. It's not just that you're tired of past patterns, it's that something in you is beginning to awake. You're realizing that the way you used to tolerate brokenness is no longer acceptable. There's a shift in your heart that no longer blames others for the wounds you carry. It's as though the Holy Spirit has turned the light inward, and now you're eager to clean out every dark corner of your soul. Not because someone told you to, not because you're trying to impress a man or earn anyone's validation, but because deep down your spirit knows something is coming. Your heart knows that your future can be built on broken foundations. So you're doing the work, you're saying no to old habits, you're choosing therapy, prayer, journaling, fasting, and solitude. You're finally letting God show you the version of yourself he sees, and it's beautiful. You're not bitter anymore about the relationships that didn't work out. You're not chasing closure. You're not rehearsing old narratives. You're waking up with purpose. You're waking up with a hunger to be who you were always meant to be. There's a new gentleness in you, a new strength, and the people around you may not even understand it. They might call it isolation or say you're too focused. But what they don't know is that you're being set apart. You're being sanctified for something greater. That restlessness you've been feeling isn't anxiety. It's spiritual labor. It's birthing pain. And it's worth it because you know, even if you can't articulate it, that God is preparing you to meet someone who can't afford to meet the old version of you. You feel it in your sleep. You sense it in worship. Every sermon seems to speak directly to your season. And every time you cry, it's not from sadness, it's from the weight of glory that's coming. A marriage is coming for you, but before it arrives, God is anchoring you. He's stretching you. He's expanding your capacity to love, to forgive, to lead, and to submit. And you're not doing it for applause. You're not doing it to prove your worth. You're doing it because for the first time you believe what God has spoken over your life. You finally believe you're worthy of a healthy love, a godly love, a love that mirrors the heart of Christ. You're no longer chasing relationships out of fear. You're walking toward partnership with faith. And this shift is not temporary. This isn't just a phase. It's a transformation. It's spiritual maturity. And it's happening fast. You may not even recognize yourself a few months from now. That's how radical the change is. Because when heaven prepares a woman for marriage, It doesn't just change your circumstances. It changes the way she prays, the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, and even the way she thinks about herself. You're becoming the woman that your future husband has been praying for, and he's becoming the man you've been praying for too. You're no longer desperate, you're discerning. You're not waiting around anymore, you're walking with purpose. And in this season, God is showing you that the delay was a denial. It was divine design. It was his mercy protecting you until the appointed time. And now something is stirring. Now something is shifting. The same voice that told Noah to build the ark is the same voice whispering to your spirit to get ready. Get your heart ready. Get your finances in order. Get your home in order. Let go of what you thought you needed, because what's coming will exceed every prayer you ever prayed. And you know it because your heart isn't anxious anymore. It's expectant. It's not guessing anymore. It's grounded in faith, that hunger to grow, that passion for healing, that clarity you've never had before. It's all confirmation that heaven is orchestrating something sacred. Something that will require you to shrink or settle. Something that will reflect the fullness of God's promises over your life. God is giving you unusual peace about your singleness. It's not loneliness, it's preparation. It's the kind of peace that doesn't make sense to those around you. While others may look at your life and wonder why you're not in a rush, why you're not desperately trying to get into a relationship, there's a calmness that has taken over your heart, a stillness that feels divine. It's not that you don't desire love. It's not that you've lost hope. It's that you found something deeper than the chase. You found an anchor in God that steadies your soul in the waiting. You don't feel empty anymore when you see couples in love. You don't feel less than when another engagement is announced. You rejoice genuinely because you know your story is being written, not delayed. There's a holy pause on your life. And instead of fighting it, you've embraced it. You understand now that preparation is a form of love. It is God loving you too much to give you something before you're ready to carry it. It is the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit saying, rest here, trust here. Let me make you whole here. Your days feel fuller now, not because of activity, but because of alignment. You're not numbing your singleness with distractions anymore. You're learning how to live in the present and not obsess over what's to come. You're starting to understand that this season has purpose and you've stopped resenting it. You've started stewarding it. You're spending time in prayer, not begging for a spouse, but simply asking God to reveal more of himself to you. You're becoming intimate with the idea that God is enough. That even if the promise tarries, he is still faithful. And it's in this peace, in this quiet confidence, that you're being positioned for something greater than you imagine. Your trust in God's timing is becoming unshakable. You're learning how to enjoy your own company, how to fall in love with your own process, how to see beauty in your own growth. There's a glow about you that others can't quite explain. A radiance that comes from being content in the hands of the one who holds time. You're no longer asking, when will it happen? But instead, what is God building in me while I wait? You've made peace with the pruning. You've allowed the silence to shape your strength. You stopped interpreting the waiting as punishment and started seeing it as preparation for promise. This peace is not passivity, it's power under control. It's knowing that God is working even when you can't see it. It's the kind of peace that allows you to walk through life with dignity and not desperation. It's the kind of peace that clears your vision, that lets you see counterfeits before they get close, that sharpens your discernment because your heart is no longer in chaos. You've come to recognize that being single is not a holding cell, it's a launching pad. And God has given you peace so that you don't sabotage what he's sending by settling for what he never intended. You're finally understanding that stillness is not stagnation, it's sacred alignment. Your spirit is tuned to heaven's pace. You're no longer trying to outrun God's timing or manufacture a miracle. You've surrendered. And in that surrender, you've tapped into a kind of peace that people who are already married sometimes wish they had. You've tapped into a rhythm of grace that lets you move without fear, love without manipulation, and wait without anxiety. This is not the absence of desire, it's the presence of maturity. This is what it looks like when God begins to ready a woman, not just for marriage, but for covenant. Not just for a wedding, but for a legacy. And it starts with peace, the kind that guards your heart. The kind that anchors your soul. The kind that says, I may not know how, but I know who. That's what God is giving you in this season. And that peace is the clearest confirmation that he's not just working on your future spouse. He's working on you too. Shaping you into the woman who can carry the weight of the love he's preparing to give. You begin to dream consistently about marriage. Or see repetitive signs of weddings and couples. And these signs are not random, they're specific. They're persistent. And they carry a spiritual weight that your spirit cannot ignore. You're not just having dreams for the sake of dreaming. You wake up and remember them vividly. You feel emotions in your sleep, joy, peace, anticipation that linger long after you open your eyes. Sometimes you see yourself walking down the aisle. Other times you're simply standing next to a man whose face you can't quite make out, but whose presence feels deeply familiar. These aren't dreams influenced by the media or by what you watched the night before. They feel holy. They feel like previews from heaven, and even if you try to dismiss them, they return repeatedly. Because God is using your dreams as a vehicle to confirm what he's doing in the unseen realm. And then there are the signs. The sudden, consistent appearance of weddings in your surroundings. Every time you scroll, you see wedding clips. Every time you walk into a store, the display is centered around love. You overhear conversations about engagements. People you haven't talked to in years suddenly reach out to tell you about their marriage. It's like you've been placed in a divine echo chamber where everything seems to whisper, it's coming. And this repetition is not a coincidence, it's a communication. God is using it to build your faith. He's using it to prepare your mind to expect what your heart has dared not believe for too long. There is a reason these dreams and signs intensify after you've surrendered your timeline to God. Because he's not teasing you, he's teaching you how to perceive the spiritual movement taking place in your life. These confirmations are not about stirring impatience. They are about aligning your heart with heaven's agenda. They are spiritual nudges reminding you that God hasn't forgotten the desires you buried. That even though you stop praying about marriage, heaven never stopped planning it. And sometimes it takes a dream to awaken the hope you silenced. It takes a sign to remind you that something is already in motion behind the veil. These dreams don't come to frustrate you. They come to focus you. To draw you closer to the presence of God so he can reveal more to you. To sharpen your spiritual sensitivity so you can discern timing, alignment, and purpose. And what's most beautiful is that these confirmations often come when you least expect them. In seasons where you're not even thinking about marriage. In moments where you're consumed by purpose, growth, and healing, that's when they come. Because it's not about obsession, it's about preparation. God doesn't confirm what he hasn't already begun. So when the dreams keep coming, when the signs are louder than ever, it's a clear message that the spiritual and the natural are beginning to align. There's also an urgency in these revelations that you can't quite explain. A sense that something is drawing near, and with that urgency comes instruction. you'll find yourself led to scriptures about covenant, about unity, you'll be drawn to teachings and messages about godly marriage that stir something in your soul. It's like God is placing pieces of a puzzle in front of you, one by one, to build a vision you didn't even know he was still crafting. And with every piece comes a deeper level of faith. You stop questioning whether it will happen and start asking God how to prepare for when it does. You stop fearing disappointment and start embracing expectancy. And the more you lean into the signs, the more peace you feel. Not because you have all the answers, but because you finally understand the language God is using to speak to you, and you know deep in your spirit that this is not imagination, it's revelation. It's God's way of saying, daughter, get ready. The vision is for an appointed time, and the time is drawing near. You experience unexpected disconnections from people who were never aligned with your future. People you once thought would be in your life forever suddenly begin to fall away, not with chaos or confrontation, but with divine ease. The texts stop. The invitations fade. The conversations become surface level or cease altogether. And at first you may question it. You may wonder if you did something wrong, if you're being too sensitive, if you're isolating. But deep within, you know this isn't about rejection, it's about redirection. God is doing what only he can do in the lives of those he is calling into covenant. He is pruning your relationships with precision, removing every voice that could interfere with the clarity of what he's building in you. Because some of the people you used to confide in can't understand the language of where God is taking you. Some of the advice you used to rely on is no longer relevant in the realm of your next season. And it's not always dramatic. It's not always painful. Sometimes it's subtle and quiet. You wake up and realize that your heart has outgrown the same conversations don't nourish you anymore. The same circles no longer feel like home. And it's not because you've become arrogant or antisocial. It's because your spirit is being refined for partnership. God is sanctifying your space. He's making room. He's stripping away the noise so that when your spouse comes, there's no confusion about who is sent and who is staying. You begin to crave solitude, not because you're lonely, but because you finally see the value in hearing God without distraction. You begin to feel an internal pull to protect your peace, to set boundaries, to walk away from what drains you. This disconnection phase often feels confusing because the people God removes are always bad. They may be kind, they may have walked with you through past seasons, but the truth is not everyone who was assigned to your past is qualified to walk into your future. And when God is preparing you for marriage, he becomes surgical with your surroundings. He knows what kind of atmosphere will nurture covenant. He knows which friendships are rooted in competition, not support. He knows which relationships are secretly delaying your growth. So in his love, he creates separation, not to punish you, but to position you. And while it may feel like loss, it's actually alignment. You begin to realize that certain people kept you tethered to a version of yourself you've already outgrown. Their presence made it harder for you to believe you are worthy of the kind of love God is preparing for you. Their words, even if unintentional, kept you small. But now without them, you're starting to see yourself more clearly. You're beginning to hear God more clearly. You're starting to understand that this season isn't about being liked, it's about being led. And when God leads you, he doesn't explain his pruning. He simply does it. He trusts that you'll catch the revelation as you walk it out. And as people begin to exit your life, you also begin to feel lighter. There's an emotional detox taking place. You'll feel more focused, more peaceful, more attuned to the voice of God. You're no longer carrying the weight of relationships that were never meant to go the distance. And as painful as it may be to let go, something in your spirit begins to whisper, this is necessary. Because you understand that the one God is bringing into your life needs the healed version of you, not the people-pleasing version. They need the you who knows how to walk away from comfort for the sake of calling. So you don't fight the disconnections anymore. You grieve them if needed, but you don't chase them. You let them go with grace, trusting that if God allowed the separation, it's because he's making space for someone who will be a divine addition, not a draining distraction. You feel the Holy Spirit drawing you closer into intimacy and obedience like never before.